Hypothetical question. If all I've been eating today is my words, am I still on a low-carb diet? Well, I've been eating my words a lot after a brutal, gut-wrenching, unexpected loss to the Seattle Seahawks. The Denver Broncos actually get a lot of good news today. I think a day removed from just having our guts ripped out in front of everybody watching CBS yesterday. Broncos actually get some good news about how Bo Nix looked, some good advanced analytics, and some great comparisons across the AFC to really show that the playoffs are not out of question for this Denver Broncos team. And yesterday's loss looks a lot better 24 hours after it happened. We're going to break that down. Some great injury news. And then we do have a couple red flags that I want to look at towards the end of this video. If you're new to the channel, Ben, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. Helps me out a lot. If you haven't stopped Bo-Lieve, if you would smash that like and subscribe button. So let's dive in here. So I think the first real good piece of good news is Seattle is one of the toughest places in the league to play. When I had penciled this in as a victory, that was very short-sighted on my part. Like since 2009, they've won almost 70% of their home games. They only lost at home, even when they underperformed 3 times last year. And that's a really tough place for a rookie to open his season. And rookies across all time, we saw the stat during the game that Peyton Manning was benched his first game as a rookie, that John Elway was benched his first game as a rookie. 26% of rookies on their first road opener lose that game. And so I had high hopes that Bo Nix, since he was older and more accomplished than a lot of those rookies going into the year, that wasn't going to be the case. But really that is how it ended up playing out. I think one of the biggest bright spots was seeing that Bo Nix's wheels are legit. We heard Jordan Palmer come out and talk about how when he was at Auburn, he was running faster and running the 40-yard dash and those wind sprints faster than any of the defensive linemen for all of Auburn and SEC school. And we saw that on full display yesterday, that he actually hit the top speed using next-gen stats. They like do GPS stuff and measure the top speed. Obviously, somebody like Tyreek Hill is faster than him, but of all wide receivers yesterday, he hit the top speed, 20 miles an hour. So you're talking Jaden Daniels ran like crazy. We saw Lamar Jackson this week. And so the fact is that Bo Nix has incredible athleticism. And I also think that is maybe a red flag in the fact that we didn't actually see any designed runs for him yesterday. And I think as Sean Payton is reflecting on the creativity of the offense that he put out there for Bo Nix yesterday, we didn't get a chance to see any of this, that it only was as plays broke down that Bo Nix bolted out and took off and had that amazing his first touchdown in the NFL on that amazing run. But, I think this is something to build on that. I think one of the reasons Josh Allen ended up being so successful was that as he was learning to be accurate and as he was learning about the windows in the NFL, he was able to rely on his athleticism to make it through. That if he was purely a pocket quarterback back then, he never would have made it through. But because of his athleticism, he was able to buy himself time to learn the speed of a NFL defense. And so just looking at the comparison between Josh Allen and Bo Nix here, just looking here that very similar first days here, that 5 sacks for Allen in his first game, 2 interceptions that were bad, 54% completion, where Bo Nix had a 61% completion. And I think if you just were to look at who you would prefer to have and what kind of performance you would prefer to have between those two, you would obviously pick Bo Nix. That how many times did he move us into scoring position? I think the drives that really give me hope for Bo Nix was the first drive before the end of the second half, when there was not a ton of time left, and the person I was doing the live stream with is like, I think Sean Payton's just going to kneel it here. And Bo Nix pushed the ball, had that beautiful back shoulder fade deep to Josh Reynolds to get us into field goal range. And I saw a lot of bright spots from him throwing the ball. And we'll talk about what was really the Achilles heel for him there. But upon second review of this, Bo Nix's day just does not look that bad, especially when you compare it to how some of the other rookie quarterbacks played yesterday. That if you just did a double blind trial and put people out there who didn't see where people were drafted and put Caleb Williams' game and Bo Nix's game in front of a random person who knew nothing else, they would pick Bo Nix had the better game. And Bo Nix played against a infinitely better defense in an infinitely more toxic environment for his first start, that Caleb Williams was playing in front of his home crowd against a defense that nobody expects anything from, and we were playing against the Sean McVay of defense that we hadn't even had a chance to get film on yet because it was his first year in the league, or his first year as the head coach. And so I really think when you look upon this in hindsight, it looks a lot better, and it looks like the kind of thing that you shouldn't be jumping off of a Broncos bandwagon for, because I think the hopes are still there for us and what this could be. When I take a look at maybe what are the red flags here, I think one of the big differences I saw with so many of Bo Nix's throws here around the line of scrimmage was that they ended up being 1-2 yard gains rather than a 1 or 2 yard throw that turned into a 10-yard gain, which is what he's used to from being in Oregon. And what I really saw was that our wide receivers were not able to do anything after the throw, whether that be Dulcich or Sutton or Vele or Josh Reynolds, that it was almost like they got tackled and made the catch and got hit immediately. And I watched NFL football the rest of the day yesterday, and it just seemed like time and time again that receivers were able to take those short throws and turn them into something greater. And so we need our receivers to step up. And Sean Payton went out and said as much in his post-game press conference that he said he called out the receivers together and said, hey guys, we got to help this guy out. So you take a look here, this was the drop by Courtland Sutton. We know Josh Reynolds had a drop as well. And looking at how all of that played out, I think our receivers can do a lot more to step up, but I think a lot of this also falls on Sean Payton. And so when you take a look at the snap percentage and how much each receiver, their percentage of snaps they were in on, I think you look at our biggest playmakers and you didn't even see them on here or barely saw them on here. So I'm looking here at Marvin Mims only being in on 17% of snaps, not even seeing Troy Franklin on this, and not seeing any of that innovative play calling that we had known from Sean Payton or had hoped from Sean Payton. And this looked a lot like the Russell Wilson dink and dunk offense that we are used to. I think the big caveat is that we did not see all of the sacks from Russell Wilson, that Bo Nix took 2 sacks and they were not major ones, mainly was able to get the ball where it needed to be. We really need some playmakers to step up and do that. And so is that we don't have the talent on this roster because of all we had to ship out to get Sean Payton as our coach and all we had to ship out in the Russell Wilson deal? Or do we have some playmakers on this roster? And so this week, I want to see Bo Nix on the move more. I want to see him running the ball, some designed runs for him. I want to see some wide receivers stepping up and knowing like, hey, I need to be a playmaker with the ball. And when I get the ball for a 2-yard gain, my job is to make that a 7-yard gain, because that's going to be what makes this offense really be an offense where we lose the game or an offense that we win the game. When we're looking at other big bright spots, I think our defense is exactly what I had hoped it would be. Our defense actually proved to me yesterday that they are an elite defense and have the ability to be a top defense in the league. And all you have to do is watch the first half of that game for your proof. Second half of the game, they were on the field the entire time. And I think it's hard to judge what that team can actually do when you're on the field the entire time. But if you look at our edge rushers, they were constantly in Geno Smith's grill. And I think Riley Moss really stepped up. He was inches away from getting us the ball back with the ability to go and win the game. And so even with this game that gutted us, we were within inches of a Riley Moss bat down and the ability to go in and make a win, get a win for the Denver Broncos week 1. Taking a look here at who were the fastest pass rushers yesterday, we saw right away Cooper getting 2 sacks. And we obviously saw 2 safeties, a lot of that caused by Cooper's pressure. And that's all matching up when we look at the next-gen stats, that he was one of the fastest off the ball yesterday and was able to do that without being offsides like Browning was there. But I think Cooper on a contract year, and the fact that we have not had a pass rusher hit that 10-sack mark, he is already well on his way to doing that. And I think there is no doubt in my mind that our pass rush is greatly, greatly improved from last year with Browning healthy from the jump. And I'm just excited about what this Vance Joseph system is going to be, knowing that there are a lot of people coming into this game who ranked the Seattle offense as one of the best offenses in the league. Kenneth Walker had more missed tackles broken last year than anyone but Christian McCaffrey. That wide receiving core with Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith and Jigba is one of the best receiving cores in the league. And Geno Smith can put the ball where it needs to be. And so I think the fact that we were able to have 2 safeties and hold them to 10 points in that first half, that's who our defense can be. And we saw what that can be, and that is really good. We saw, a thumbs up, not a thumbs down. Don't know why it did that. Thanks, Apple. I also think Pat Surtain locked down the best receiver. That's the best receiver he'll face this season. And he had him locked down with a couple garbage penalties that you aren't expected to get on the road. But taking a look at, what was it right here? Right, just a horrible no call here on Cortland Sutton. That would have been kind of a game-changing thing to get a first down and be in plus territory here rather than needing to punt the ball back to them yet again. And the fact is that Pat Surtain was called on far less than this multiple times yesterday, and it just didn't seem like the whistle was going both ways on there. A questionable roughing the passer call on Geno Smith, and then we didn't have it the same way. Not blaming the officials for the game yesterday, but I just think we had the deck loaded against us, playing a first-time coach you didn't have film on, playing in a tough place, playing a rookie on the road, and then the calls didn't always go our way either. I feel like this kind of is giving us an understanding of just the little bit of separation that our receivers were able to get. We need them to step up and be better. Cortland Sutton, you had multiple teams trying to trade for you. We've been going to battle for you, saying that you're a wide receiver one, and you're not creating the separation that a wide receiver one should. Looking at our best receiver yesterday when it came to separation was Josh Reynolds with just 2.15 yards of separation. That's not, I mean, that is showing you what kind of, what kind of window Bo has to get this ball in. And so we need that to be a lot better. Vele, 8 catches yesterday. That's also a bright spot. But overall, looking at yesterday, we had a bunch of teams in the AFC who lost to, that's great. We want the division winners to run away with it and then be in the hunt there for a wild card. So having the Bengals go on the road and lose to the Patriots is fantastic news for us. And I feel like we are in a good spot, and I have not stopped Bo-Lieving, and I hope y'all never stop Bo-Lieving. I need one more. Clear my palate.